Hey guys, Trail Chasers here today. For today's video, we're going to go between the differences in the Atroz and the option in which bike is better for what type of rider. We're going to start with the frame really quick. So both of them share a really similar geometry, and the only real difference is going to be bottom bracket height because the option is a slightly longer travel bike, so it's going to be a little bit higher off the ground. Another difference on the option is that it has a reinforced gusset, which not only strengthens the rear end, but also stiffens it as far as twisting side to side, and it doesn't really add much weight to it. Going into the specs is where the bike take really different turns in each direction. So the Atroz comes with 120 fork in the front and 115 of rear travel. The option has 150 front and 130 rear. For those new to biking, 15 millimeters of travel really may not seem like a bunch, but it can actually make a sizable gain in the rooty and chunky stuff. The base model Atroz has a 1x9 gearing. It's entry level, but it'll get you up most hills if you got the lungs for it. It sports a 30mm stanchion SR Suntour XCM fork. It's a basic heavy, but it actually surprisingly works. It has nowhere near the sophistication of the other forks as far as rebound, adjust, and lockouts, but it'll get you started. Another thing is they supply the Atroz base with hydraulic disc brakes, which is quite nice. They have more power and more modulation than their cable-operated counterparts, which is great, but they're not up to par with other standard hydraulic brakes. One other thing to remember about the Atroz versus the Atroz Comp is in the option is the Atroz is the only one of these models that has QR axles and not bolt-throughs, so it won't be as stiff as the other two. So the Comp sports RockShox front and rear, which really help to improve the damping and the feel of the Trail Chatter. The front Recon fork actually has the motion damper in it, which feels pretty nice. It was their top-of-the-line damper system a few years ago before they moved on to the Charger damper. The Atroz Comp and the Atroz base wheels aren't wide by modern standards, but the tires that they put on them are wide enough to actually provide decent grip in all conditions I've found, except for the really, really thick mud. Also, the Atroz Comp steps up to the SRAM NX 1x11 drivetrain. It's a much more forgiving gear range, and it really allows you to get up the hills with ease because you have that big 42-tooth cog to just crank it up stuff. The new option, however, receives upgrades in all of the spec except the seat and the drivetrain. So, for starting, the front and rear of the bike is air sprung now, and it allows for a really nice amount of adjustment. The Monarch R Debonair that came stock on it really helps to liven up the rear end of the bike with a supple beginning, and it's got that kind of bottomless end stroke feel. They beefed up the bars and stem from a 31.8 diameter to 35 to help the front end track better through the rougher bits, and now instead of having 160, 180 rotors, it just has 180 front and rear. They also get the entry-level set of one-finger Shimano stoppers to allow for better control. The option receives the new Blancard 28R wheels in WTB Vigilante 2.3 tires, which make it really wide, aggressive, and stiff, which is awesome. And it receives the same drivetrain as the Atroz Comp, and that's pretty much the difference. So as far as which bike is going to be better for which person, I think the option is a bike that excels in the rougher terrain where the extra travel can help take the sting out of rocks, roots, but however, I don't think it jumps much better than the other Atrozes. The Atroz is a great bike for smooth, flowy single track and moderate roots and rocks. The Atroz excels more in the corners and at holding speed on smooth stuff thanks to the lower bottom bracket, less aggressive, faster rolling tires, and less travel, which allows you to put more energy into the trail. The base option is good for those lower on funds. It's an inexpensive way to try the sport, and it shares all the same strengths as the Atroz, but it doesn't feel as refined. The option is a great choice if you can only afford one inexpensive bike and you need it for everything from gravel roads to backcountry adventures. The Atroz Comp is a great entry-level bike or as a loaner for a friend. It's refined, fast, confidence-inspiring, and most importantly, fun. And the Atroz base, I think, would be a great bike for someone who isn't necessarily wanting to get invested into the sport, but wouldn't mind riding the trail centers with his buddies every once in a while. It'll take anything you want to do and it won't complain about it. So those are the main differences, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Trail Chasers is out. Bye-bye.